Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is actually sponsored by EA, but I promise you on Apex Legends is going to be one of the most important videos that you're going to watch. I have Marianas here to help me. Go ahead and say hi, Mari. You're at a little distance there. Look at that little head glitch there. In case you don't know what a head glitch is, just FYI, is just being sure that only you can see your head. Back in the day, whenever you were gaming, long time ago, technically the gun used to be higher up on the character model, and they would call it a head glitch because you weren't able to shoot them. Now, this isn't important because what we're going to talk about today is bad positioning. Let's pretend the zone is pulling in and we just wiped up a bunch of teams and our squad is rolling up right now. Now the downside is there's always a team that's going to be positioned here, perhaps here, or perhaps here in these buildings. They're always going to be located in those areas, right? Now our goal, what we're going to give you is a checklist to success on how you can counter these positionings. Now let's go through the checklist. Now the most obvious one that everyone does, and the downside of this, is that everyone tries to do immediate counter pressure. Now you could take your shot and maybe you happen to land a shot. Very lucky for me, I happen to land my shot, and that means, okay, they might peek away and heal. Now, because they have the head glitch, because my body is more exposed, most of the time they're going to land more shots against me. Now, what you can do is peek at different angles and peek from the left and peek from the right, but the downside of this, just as you saw, means that I have to heal up, and now I'm out of the fight. You can rely on your teammates to say, I did damage, and you can work your way from cover to cover. In this scenario, I can work my way from cover to cover from the rocks to work my way in closer to the zone. Let's say I was going the opposite direction. In this scenario, we can go towards the cave and work our way that way. If a damage happens and there's a crack, you can go from here, hide behind the tree for just a second. Most people, what they do is they also bait with movement, going back and forth, so it throws an opponent off, and then work forward, and then you kind of tap strafe and move around. If you're on controller, moving up forwards and backwards really throws off an opponent because you're not walking necessarily in a straight line. You don't want to make it easier for your opponent to hit them. And by the way, I told Marianas to shoot around me, so it doesn't make it. So just so you know, his aim is bad. It's not, I promise. Now, tip number 2. Let's say your teammates are doing no damage and you can't get any damage. Well, one of the easiest things to do is use your abilities to get in and out of a fight. Boom, now you're positioned in a better spot and you can cover your teammates that have to cross an open field and try to shoot for them at a different angle. Or it takes a different angle over here by simply moving up, and now your opponents have to have split attention either towards you or towards your opponent on the left. Now let's showcase the other example if you decide to be a little more aggressive. So you can use your tactical ability. Now in this scenario you can Bangalore smoke, you can provide a Wraith Q, you can do a lot of different things with a lot of different legends. You can technically, as a squad, back reel from behind the situation, but now all you're doing is moving from one problem to another. Remember, you can use every bit of cover as you work your way into a fight. What looks like it can be an open field can sometimes be a position to where you can work your way in. Now, in just a moment, we're going to look at what happens when you literally have just an open field to work with and what you can do in the scenario. We're going to find one of the worst possible spots on the map, and now, boom. Look at this, you're in. Now, another option you can do if you're coordinated with your squad is once you counter and do damage, let's say you were to land a few shots and you crack, you can move towards a door and then take and occupy space. This means that you're kind of ready for action and ready to fight. Now you can take your shots and be around them. You notice that they're healing, the timing, that you have to be fast on this though. If you do not act in a timely fashion from bad positioning to push in, I promise you that time frame, they will be fully healed. One of the biggest mistakes beginners, intermediate players do is they don't act on damage. If you're entry fragger, you need to get in and you're a legend that can move forward, then you need to push in. The next question most people have is, what if I'm a defensive legend? Well, your timing is just going to be a little slower. So if you did that damage and you work your way in, if they decide to re-peek, then they're absolute, I'm going to be blunt, psychopaths. Because they're peeking from flesh, and you have the advantage still. If they're peeking from flesh, then you can still work your way in and start fencing and putting stuff up and blocking things off with Gen. And I think of the defensive legend like a linebacker. You are pushing the front line forward to make sure your other legend, your support entry fragger, can make a play. That's your goal. Now, it's never easy to do, so let's go find a spot in the map where it's virtually impossible and there's an open field and it's very, very frustrating. At that point, you're kind of just going for a Hail Mary, and let's discuss that. Now, in this scenario, what we're going to be providing is looking at the worst possible scenario where a zone is closing and there's an open field and there's a team using the head glitch holding you out. What can you do? Now, I'm going to provide you some information right off the rip here that is going to be a little hard pill to swallow, to be honest. Is that if you do nothing, that in itself is a decision. Do not let yourself be in a scenario where your inactivity or making a non-decision forces you because of zone to move in, and then you end up losing anyways. You have to be proactive. Based on the list of using Legend utility, putting pressure back, or making sure that your teammates and communicating with them that they have to do damage as well, is what you have to do to work your way in. So let's say we're trying to work our way in, and right now, unfortunately, I'm just low, but I try to counter pressure. Now, we have to look at zone. Make sure, first tip, do not get cracked as the zone is closing, because then you have to heal, and you have to worry about the zone right on your back. So don't let that happen. If I manage to land some shots, and he miss, we could move over from a little bit of cover, and I might get beamed, I might get shot, and hopefully your team is with you. A Bangalore can ult, a Gibraltar can ult their positioning, and let's say, okay, now it's time after the utility is out, after a Bang ult goes out, a Gibraltar ult, and let's say they have a Watson. That will be the unfortunate counter if they happen to have that, or you Catalyst wall, or you decide to throw your Seer ult forward. All those things. Now, if you are the Legend with the utilities such as Vantage, Wraith, Loba, anybody who can move an Octane jump pad, it might be a little rough because you might get blasted to the sky. What you want to do is get to this spot as close as possible, and then have your teammates hold for you. They're going to panic, and everyone's going to hold here, but they have to make a decision. Are they going to shoot at you? And at this point, if they decide to over-peek, your teammates are going to be moving in and holding the angle for them. You have this spot here, and a space that did not exist now exists. This is a Hail Mary, unfortunately. You don't want to be in the scenario, but this is a scenario that will happen if you happen to be in a fight that happens to be late. Because now you can hold them off and take shots and perhaps crack them. And if your teammates are with you now, let's go. You shove and you decide to push. You happen to knock one, and then you knock the other, and then that's the game. That's how you make a play. Now, it's very difficult. It takes a lot of coordination. It takes understanding that your teammates know what you're going to do. But make sure that if your teammates are standing still and doing nothing, they're making a decision to lose that encounter, and you have to do something. Trust me, by the queuing forward, just talk in the mic and scream and tell them, hey, please, we have to move, we have to do something, because by doing nothing, you're making a decision, you're making an unfortunate decision. Something we thought about together after the fact here is to trust your teammates. If you don't trust your teammates, you have to trust that they're going to complete their role. And if you move forward and trust and pay attention to what your teammates are doing, that you're about to make a play and go for something. Trust goes a long way in competitive. It goes a long way with team play, communication. Even if there is no communication, pinging something and going forward on it, whether you win or lose, means that you try to do something together. And unfortunately, you may clutch it out, or you may not clutch it out, but at least you knew that you guys win on something together. And that can solve some of the passiveness as well. And that's where the game is. So if we recap this, remember, try to counter pressure. Do not counter pressure if you know zone is closing, and at that point, because you don't want to get cracked, and unfortunately don't want to heal as the zone is closing and putting you out of the fight. Now, when you're crossing, make sure that you've already done damage. Make sure to use your Legend utility, and try to look as for many other opportunities as possible. Now, in this scenario here, we pretended the zone was just closing right towards this spot. But if you want to think about it, let's say perhaps the zone was closing a little bit more towards this spot. This might be an option for you to rotate this way, if the zone allowed it to happen. But in that scenario, we pretty much said that we're going this way, and that's the only option for you. Well, that wraps up today's video. Hopefully it's very straightforward. We covered the key topics. Hopefully when you guys get caught at a bad position, don't worry about going down in the scenario. It's better to be proactive than not doing anything at all. So hopefully you leave this video with some strong tips. Thank you, Marianos, for helping in today's video. Really appreciate you. Yeah. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Yep.